watched one of your videos to help me answer a question. I am hoping you can answer this question since it's more specific, and I'm sure you could easily help me with your expertise. I constructed a traditional Spanish style fountain out of block. I plastered the exterior and interior of the fountain base, a large square pool base made of the block where the water will pool before circulating back into the fountain, with spec mix pre-blended dry mortar. I need to know what the following steps to keep the fountain in good condition for the long run would be. I'd like to add color to the mix, likely blue, to help make the water look more blue to whatever the next step is. Please reply with the steps that are left to finish the fountain. I realize you're the pool guy, however, I figured finishing the interior of the fountain base is likely similar or the same process as finishing a fountain so it's sealed and it lasts. Are there names of brands that I can easily buy at Home Depot or a pool store?
So I think the biggest issue with when you do fountains is depending on where the country you're going to be, or where in the world for that matter. If you're hand building a fountain in the north, you have to make sure you're footed properly and you have enough bulk underneath so that as long as it's together, it doesn't move and crack and break. I'm assuming this particular question has to do with the final finish. I don't know that there's there's several pool finishes. Let's go to the pool world and equate that to putting that to a fountain in terms of longevity and quality of product. So a basic pool finish, a white finish, is Marcite. Marcite is marble dust and white Portland cement mixed together, and marble is fairly soft, so over time it deteriorates, and that's why a lot of those older pools very rapidly became rough. The industry addressed that by going with a quartz-based finish. Diamond Bright was one of them. There's a whole bunch of different brands today, and that was using quartz as the aggregate with white Portland cement. And what that did is it gave it a more dense, less shrinkable surface. It allowed the pool finish to be stronger, and if a damage happened, you could polish it because the quartz could take a diamond polisher. If you tried to diamond polish marble, the Marcite, it would just crumble. But if you try to polish quartz, it's strong enough to hold and you could grind it smooth again. And then the next step level is a pebble finish. So now we have a really small aggregate pebble stone mixed with concrete with Portland cement to create the plaster finish, and then you wash the surface off and you remove the Portland cement, the surface of the Portland cement, to expose the stone. And you do that for two reasons. Number one, for looks, but secondly is now you have stone which is fairly impervious to water damage exposed to water. So for me, those are the basic types. And there's some other things, some add-ons over the top. Eco Finish, which is a spray-on finish, but you have to have a base underneath. Let's equate that now to a fountain. Depending on what the base that you're using, once your structure is watertight or fairly watertight and has a fairly decent grippable surface to it, it needs to be rough enough that your final plaster can hold to it. Anything marble based is going to be on your lower end. Anything stone based is going to be on your high end. And you may vary, for the sake of it, you may want to go with a pool finish and use and plaster that on. And if that's the case, you can get pre-mixed colored batches of things so you don't have to even mess with the color. You could pick a quartz-based finish that has different color aggregate in it, and it has different dyes in it, so that you just buy pre-made bags and you mix them and you plaster it on. You may even find some basic stuff that you can add packets of dye to. The challenge with mixing the dyes in afterwards is they're inconsistent. If you can buy pre-colored bags of material that you just add water to, the dye is typically mixed in with the aggregate and the cementitious product material so that it becomes way more uniform. And I certainly know, having done it both ways on pools, how splotchy it can be if you're hand doling up the amount that you're dumping in each time, as opposed to having a bag that has it mixed in already. So I don't know if any of that helps you or not, but look at the pool industry and look at the pool surfaces they have, and maybe just pick one of those off the shelf, and it'll be easier than you trying to reinvent the wheel to finish the inside of this thing.